Hello everyone, my name is Toms and today I will be showing you my guide to Yoimiya. To let you know a bit more of who I am a Spanish streamer of Genshin Impact that streams daily my Twitch channel, and I got hundreds of hours played. Right now I'm a Venture rank 59, and I mostly play bow characters because they are my favorite, but my top bow character is Yoimiya. She carried me through all the abyss with incredible results, despite a lot of people saying that she's bad. She's very powerful in single target situations, but you can also one-shot little targets and do fast sweeps of large group of enemies. Overall, I think she's pretty good, easy to use and really fun to play, which I think is the main point of the game, to have fun. Remember that you have the timestamps below, so feel free to jump into the parts that you are most looking for. So nothing more to say, let's get started. For this showcase, I will be using my Yoimiya. She's level 90 with 2313 attack, 70.9% crit rate and 228 crit damage and 126 energy recharge with 46% of pyro damage bonus. We will be switching between weapons for showing her damage with Rust, Prototype Crescent, Amos Bow and Thunder Impulse. Artifacts will be for Shimenawa, but we will be showing other artifacts. And last for this video, talents are 10, 10, 10. So normal attacks is level 10, her elemental skill is level 10, and the ultimate is level 10 too. Also, I use two builds, one for raw damage and the other for reaction damage. The reaction damage one is with Elemental Mastery Sans, which lets my Yoimiya to 77.9% crit rate, 212.5 crit damage, and 126.6 energy recharge. I let you the stats on the screen with the calculations in case you want to check it. Okay, so let's start with explanation about how the talents work. For her normal attacks, she attacks 5 times with the bow, and if you hold to level 1 charge will do pyro damage, but if you hold a little bit more to level 2, she will be fired 3 additional fireworks arrows that will chase the enemy. These have a pretty cool animation and it's a great idea, but in practice it's quite useless and you won't be doing charge attacks. For her elemental skill, Niwabi Fire Dance, Yoimiya waves the sparkle and boosts her attack in pyro damage, increasing like this the damage percent according to the level of the talent. For her elemental burst, she jumps and does a shot that deals area damage and marks one enemy. This mark can be triggered. If you do it so, it will explode and deal additional damage. You can trigger this with normal attack, charge attack, plug-in attacks, elemental skill and elemental burst. However, it got two downsides. You can only trigger the explosion 2 times and Yoimiya can't trigger her own explosion. Say that if you want to know about talent priorities, I will personally upgrade first normal attacks, then elemental skill and then elemental burst. For the first passive talent of Yoimiya, when her E is active, it will be gaining 2% of pyro damage bonus for every normal attack she hits. This effect will only last for 3 seconds and you only have a maximum of 10 stacks, which means a total of 20% of pyro damage bonus. This passive is pretty good because you want to hit a lot of normal attack, and the 20% bonus it will be really helpful to kill enemies faster. A 10% of attack during 50 seconds. Until you have any stacks of your passive talent Tricks of the Troublemaker, the last one I explained, it will be converted to a 1% bonus attack damage additional when using her burst. Finally, the last and most useful talent of Yoimiya will refund a portion of the materials used to fabric decorations, ornament and landscape type furnishings in the teapot. For the Constellations, if you are interested or have some, I don't have any of them, and I think she doesn't need them. But if you want to get some Constellations, here are my thoughts about them. C1 is one of the best if you go 2 Shimenawas and 2 Crimson Witch on artifacts. I will explain later why. Their Constellation makes mark 4 seconds longer and gives Yoimiya a buff of 20% attack for 20 seconds. C2 is pretty strong too. When Yoimiya crits, she will gain 20% of pyro damage bonus, but she has not to be in the battlefield, important. So normally to trigger this bonus you want to use her elemental burst and then change the active character to make some triggers on the burst mark and then switch back to Yoimiya to use 20% of pyro damage bonus. C3 is pretty straightforward, gives your elemental skill 3 more levels, so more apply when you are used to elemental skill. C4 is quite bad because it decreases the cooldown of your elemental skill for 1.2 seconds every time you trigger an explosion from the elemental burst. I say this is bad because if you have decent rotations, when you come back to Yoimiya she will always have the elemental skill with no cooldown, so I don't think this one is good. C4 is the same as C3, 3 more levels on your elemental burst, you get much more damage, not bad. C6 is in my opinion the most fun constellation in Yoimiya's kit. It's where it changes her playstyle to really a machine gun. When Yoimiya uses her elemental skill and uses normal attacks, you have a 50% to fire an additional arrow that deals 60% of the damage of the original arrow. This means that Yoimiya deals 30% more DPS with this constellation theoretically, but in the practice... Okay, so let's start with the attacks, rotation and animation cancels. Yoimiya is pretty easy to play. Your combo will be elemental skill and then spam normal attacks until your elemental skill is out of time. A pro tip for knowing when it's going to run out of time is to look at the elemental skill cooldown timer. When it reaches 8 seconds you won't be infusing Pyro anymore. But what about elemental burst, you should ask right now? Well, it's quite an interesting topic because it involves a lot of maths and calculations, but to make it simpler the combos depends on your artifact set. If you go 4 Crimson, 2 Crimson, 2 Shimenawa, or 4 pieces Lava Runner, what you want to do is elemental burst and then elemental skill. Important statement about the combo is elemental burst do supports rotations like I'm showing in the video, and then Yoimiya elemental skill. The only problem that can cause this rotation is that maybe if you don't have a battery or high energy recharge, maybe you don't have your elemental burst ready for the next rotation of burst. This way, Yoimiya deals more damage in any rotation because you trigger explosions of the elemental burst faster than everyone else. Nonetheless, I run Shimenawa in my Yoimiya, so my videos you will never see doing this combo. That's because if you use your elemental burst, then you don't get the buff that gives you Shimenawa. So what I do is I bring the combo and you can autopilot it with elemental skill when it's about to spare elemental burst and do all the rotation as seen in this video. This combo is more easy than the other one because you don't need to think about your energy recharge or funnel particles to her. If you don't know what funnel means, I show you an example. For example, with Bennett you use elemental skill and swap fast to Yoimiya to give her all the particles generated by Bennett. Now that we know all the basics of Yoimiya, let's do an advanced class of her normal attacks. Because yes, the character is a bit harder, fun and deals more damage this way. Disclaimer about this, it's not mandatory. In fact, in the Abyss I don't do it very often, only when I got a lot of time to hit the enemy. The difference is firing 2 more arrows if you do aim cancel than dash cancel. It's a small difference, but you deal more damage if you want to try it. So you have 3 ways to cancel animation with Yoimiya. First, I'm going to explain the easiest one and then I will tell you which one is the best for me. The first combo and the easy combo is the dash cancel. So we are going to shoot all 5 shots and then dash to cancel the animation of the last arrow. And make this one more time, 5 normal attacks, 1 more dash, and then after 3 times this, your elemental skill will run out. For the other animation cancels, we will be using aim mode. So the first step you need to know is that to make animation cancel with the bow, you have to press R really fast. Only 2, like this. Then you have 2 ways. The first one is for normal attacks, and when you start firing the first arrow, you press 2 Rs and start again. This way is faster than doing normal attack combos and you don't need to wait for the 5th attack to end. The only problem with this is that you don't shoot a 5th attack, which is one of the most powerful one. So to solve this problem, we got the second combo. It's a bit tricky, but when you get used to it, it's easy and deal more damage. You have to do 5 normal attacks, and when you see your arrow fly off the bow, press fast R plus R. For me, if you want to go for cancel combos, the best one is 5 attacks and dash cancel because it's the easiest and you don't get interrupted easy. The 4 attacks cancel due to a long animation when Yoimiya is in the air, I don't recommend it, but you can practice the aiming cancel with it because it's easier. I was doing so when I first played her. And last but not least, the more damaging combo with 5 attacks and 10 cancel. This is the one that deals more damage, but you don't need to get knocked down. So if you got Zhongli, it will carry your combo consistently and you won't be worried about dodging or getting fucked mid-combo. Weapon test and recommendations. So let's head to the weapons this time. I will be showing you all the bows with exactly the same build. The only weapon that cheats a bit is Thunder Impulse because it gives a lot of crit damage and the passive is OP on Yoimiya. Nonetheless, we will be sticking to 67.8 crit rate and 168 crit damage for all weapons except Thunder Impulse and the Slingshot. First, I will show you the weapons that I leveled for this guide. There are bows that are good for Shi, but I don't have them, so I will just mention them. And then based on the Excel calculation made by low priority, I will run the weapons. I will let you his Excel in the description if you want to use it. Thunder Impulse is her best weapon without a doubt. It gives you more damage for normal attacks, huge crit rate and huge base attack. The best weapon for Yoimiya, but not by far. We will get there eventually. Ammo's bow is a bit worse than Thundering Pulse, and with Yoimiya, you don't use that much the passive of the ammo, due that you won't be hitting from that far away. Nonetheless, it's one of the best 5 stars. Aqua Simulacra is overall good, but it's not the best weapon on her. Nonetheless, if she's the only 5-star weapon you have, go for it. Rust is, in my opinion, and based on calculations from a lot of people, better than most of the 5-star weapons. I can say Rust R5 is better than Ammo's R1 or Skyward Harp R1. For me, the free-to-play option to go for, by far. This is the bow I will play 100% if I don't have Thunder Impulse on her. For Polar Star, I won't go with this bow if you want to play Shimenawa, because you need the Elemental Burst, Elemental Skill and Normal Attack. Not a bad bow. I didn't test it because I don't have one, but it's pretty decent. Skyward Harp, at first people thought that it will be the best bow for Yoimiya, but even with that, the bow I think is top 2, top 3 in damage output. Blister Hunt, it gives you crit rate and helps you balance your crit rate crit damage ratio, and the passive is decent, not bad overall. Prototype Crescent is a standard bow, not good, not bad, it just exists and you can put it on her. Even though a lot of people think Hamayumi is good for her, Hamayumi possesses an anti-synergy with Yoimiya's kit. Yoimiya wants to use her elemental burst before casting her elemental skill without 4 Shimenawa reminiscence, and wants to use her elemental skill to trigger 4 Shimenawa reminiscence, energy drain and damage % bonus effect if you use her with that set. As such, doing either one thing or the other will disable Hamayumi's passive. Without its passive, Hamayumi is still worse than most alternatives, is outperformed by Rust and Prototype Crescent at equal refinements. Blackcliff Warbow is good when you kill 3 enemies and get the passive. If you don't have it, don't bother buying it, because it's not that good, and the other 4-star options are pretty much better. Slingshot, when it comes to seem a bit troll, I level up to level 90 and this surprised me a lot. I see it's a mini Rust with a 31.2 crit rate and can help you to balance crit rate crit damage ratio. You shouldn't underestimate the passive that does 60% more damage at R5 to your arrows if your arrow hits the target in less than 0.3 seconds. So that means staying really close to the enemy, or otherwise you will be decreasing your attack at 10%, which can be really hard to pull off sometimes, because if they hit you once, they can interrupt your normal attack animations. So for me, the ranking of the weapons stays like this. Well, let's start with artifact recommendations for you, Yoimiya. First of all, you need to search for artifact main stats: Sans attack %, gold pyro damage, circle crit rate crit damage build. Depends on your balancing of the substats. Also, you can go with the Sans of Elemental Mastery if you have high attack. For the optimal substats, you want in order of importance the next: crit rate, crit damage, attack %, Elemental Mastery, energy recharge, flat attack, everything else. Now that we know what main stats and substats we want, I'm going to speak for different artifact sets that I recommend. First of them, in general, for the best set is 2 18% attack bonus and 2 Crimson Witch of Flames, because it gives you 18% attack bonus, 15 pyro damage bonus, and you can do the combo that we speak at the very first of the video, starting with Elemental Burst from Yoimiya and then Elemental Skill, which is the best combo and deals more damage because Joy can proc ult with another support like Chinkyu, Paydor, Fischl, etc. when hitting the target with the mark. This is easy to get because you only need 2 good pieces of every set and not 4, so it's really cheaper to build. Second, we have my favorite set for Yoimiya, it's 4 Shimenawas, which gives you 80% attack bonus, and when you cast your elemental skill, you lose 15 points of energy, but you get a 50% increased damage for your normal charge plunge attacks during 10 seconds, and this synergizes perfect with Yoimiya's elemental skills, because it's the duration of the elemental skill. It's true that you probably don't want to use your burst, but to buff normal attacks is good enough to supply the fact that you won't be doing your rotation with elemental boost as a starter. Third, we are going to talk about the new set, 4 pieces Echoes of an Offering. It gives you 80% attack bonus, and when normal attacks hit opponents there is a 36% chance to increase normal attack damage. Even though this seems like super good for Yoimiya, it's not that great. It's top 3, but not the best. Why, you would ask? That's why even having perfect or almost perfect RNG on triggering the passive still deals a bit less damage than Shimenawa, as you can see on the calculations. I will also have a link in the description so you can check it. So if you ask me which one I'd rather get between 4 Shimenawa or 4 pieces Echoes, I will say go for the one that gives you better substats to balance your crit rate crit damage build. But if you have to farm from 0 one of the sets, go with Shimenawa since it's better set and also gives you the way to farm Emblem of Severe Fate, which is one of the best sets in the entire game. For 4 Crimson Witch of Flames, it gives you 15% pyro damage bonus and increases overloaded and burning damage by 40%. Increases Vaporize and melt damage by 50%, and using elemental skill increases the 2-piece set bonus by 50% of its starting value for 20 seconds. Match of 3 stacks. Honestly, in my opinion, this set is inferior to the mentioned previously, because you don't really need Vaporize and melt 100% of the times, because Yoimiya high attack speed will fuck some reactions. And to end, we have the set of 4 pieces Lava Walker. Increases pyro resistance by 40% and increases damage to enemies affected by pyro 35%. The only way I see this set playable is in a composition that is a Monopyro, paired with Yoimiya, Bennett, Kazuha, Zhongli, or Yoimiya, Bennett, Charlink, and Sucrose, as an example of teams. Nonetheless, 2 Crimson, 2 Shimenawa or Gladiator and 4 pieces Shimenawa are better than this set, or in other scenarios are probably equal to 4 pieces Lava Walker or Monopyro teams. To sum up, play the set that gives you better substats. If you are equal on substats, I will say go 2 Crimson Flames, 2 Gladiator. It's the best tied with 4 Shimenawa. And third place is Echoes of an Offering, and then 4 pieces Crimson, and then 4 pieces Lava Walker. I had more fun playing 4 pieces Shimenawa and got much better substats, so it's my way to go with my decision of the selected set. Okay, so let's start with the section of the team compositions. Know that since I'm a semi-free to play, Dolphin I think, I don't have all the characters, so there are some teams that I can't really play. But I saw people play them and having really good results with it, so I will be talking about them and explaining. And at the end of this section I will be making a bit of a tier list for the best teams for me. Let's get started with the Vaporize Team. The Vaporize Team is composed of Yoimiya, Chingyu, Yelan, Kazuha, Sucrose or Venti, and Bennett or Zhongli. This team consists of Chingyu or Yelan Vaporize using his elemental burst combined with Yoimiya normal attacks infused with elemental skill. Kazuha or Sucrose as an anemo support and healer buffer like Bennett or Zhongli, for shield and resistance reduction to the enemies.
Absorption test, animal hypostasis emulation, and fire hazard.
Let's start with the Overload or Fireworks team. This team consists of Beidou, Yoimiya, Fischl, Bennett, Diona or Zhongli. This team consists of Beidou and Fischl overloading with elemental skill and combined with Yoimiya normal attacks infused with her elemental skill. The fact that the more normal attacks you throw, the more attacks Beidou elemental burst and the companion of Fischl attacks make you deal a lot of damage. So you basically spam the normal attacks and all enemies will explode. Finally, you have Bennett for Pyro Consonance and as a healer buffer of the team. Think that Beidou Elemental Burst snapshot, so if you want to use Bennett's burst first, and inside the burst use the Elemental Burst of Beidou, so Bennett's buff it lasts for the whole duration of the ultimate. Single Target Overload Team. This team is composed of Yoimiya, Fischl, Kazuha or Sucrose, Zhongli or Diona. This team consists of Fischl Overload using his elemental burst and skill on single target damage, combined with Yoimiya normal attacks infused with her elemental skill. And you have Kazuha or Sucrose as an emo support and the shielder like Zhongli or Diona to help you survive. I really recommend this team if you want to go for hard HP boss fights like Magu Kenki or the new Golden Wolf Lord. There are 2 rotations with this team that depends if you have Yoimiya with Shimenawa or without. I let you the rotations on the screen. Let's start with the Raiden Overload team. This team is composed of Yoimiya, Raiden, Kazuha Sucrose or Venti, Bennett or Zhongli. This team is a variation of the Overload composition, but you use Raiden elemental skill to proc the overloads combined with the normal attacks of Yoimiya. As always, use Kazuha or Sucrose to lower the elemental resistance of the enemy, as well as with Venti, and Bennett as a healer buffer or Zhongli as a strong shielder and to lower resistance of the enemies.
There is no escape. Swirl, Mark 2. Teamwork is dreamwork. Torn to oblivion.
Now for one of my favorite teams, the Overvape Team. This team is composed of Yoimiya, Qingyu or Yelan, Beidou, Fischl or the Raiden Shogun, Bennett or Zhongli. This team is a variation of the Overload team and the Vaporize team. This is my favorite team to play on Yoimiya. It has good single target damage and multi-target damage, and it's really enjoyable. All my clears of the Abyss are with this team. Beidou snapshots with Bennett burst, so here I think Bennett is more valuable than Zhongli. Fischl is good too, if you want to go for a hard damage single target, but if you put Fischl, I will put Zhongli instead of Bennett.
Quiet now. Things are about to get dicey. Let's light it up! Teamwork is... Power that ended high shot!
Let's head with Overvape with no heals. This team is composed of Yoimiya, Qingyu or Yelan, Beidou and Fischl. Exactly the same as the team mentioned in the last place, but here you don't have any heal, so you rely on dodge, the shield from Beidou and the damage reduction of Qingyu. It has a hard damage output but high risk and hard to play. This composition doesn't leave a lot of window for mistakes.
My royal rain outlines your fate. Rain cutter, no my eyes on me. Time for a light show.
Now let's talk about the double Hydro team. This team is composed of Yoimiya, Qingyu, Yelan and Bennett or Zhongli. This team consists of Qingyu plus Yelan vaporizing using her elemental burst combined with Yoimiya normal attacks infused with her elemental skill, and a healer buffer like Bennett or Zhongli for its shield and resistance reduction to the enemies.
Busted. Game's up. Fun's over. Witness the power of Gua. Rain out. Let's light it up. Everybody feels a split.
The Monopyro team is composed of Yoimiya, Zhongli, Kazuha Sucrose or Venti, and Bennett. This team consists of applying Pyro constantly and debuffing with the Viriscent Bender set of Dynamo support. In this team I highly recommend Kazuha over Sucrose, and protect Yoimiya with Bennett and Zhongli while you buff your damage. Let's head with the second team of Monopyro. This team is composed of Yoimiya, Xiangling, Kazuha Sucrose or Venti, and Bennett. This team does exactly the same as the last team, but it's a bit more free to play friendly. The huge power spike of this team is C6 Xiangling, but you can play perfectly without the C6. In this team I still prefer Kazuha, but Sucrose is not that bad, because you don't need that much pyro application, because you have Xiangling ultimate that is almost all the time in the field. The double Geo team is composed of Yoimiya, Bennett, Zhongli and Talbido. This team is one of the easiest to execute. You got Resonance of Pyro to get plus 25% attack bonus and Resonance of Geo for shields absorption increase and a plus 50% attack bonus and to debuff the enemies 20% of the resistance, and also you have the damage from Albedo ultimate and Bennett buffs while you are protected by your super strong Zhongli shields. Okay, let's head with the melee composition. This composition is about Yoimiya, Qingyu Yelan or Zhongli, Ganyu Rosaria or Senhe, Bennett or Diona. This team is a bit strange and I don't really recommend playing it. because it needs a lot of skill to be played, but if you want a melt or reverse melt comp, this team is good. I say that it's not that good because Ganyu ult can't melt that fast with Yoimiya normal attacks, or the other way around. Nonetheless, here I let you the rotation, and in the description I leave a link to a guide that shows you how to play Yoimiya melts.
Teamwork is strength. For Rex Lapis. Access denied.
This team is composed of Yoimiya, Mona or Diona, Kazuha or Sucrose, and finally Bennett. This team is not for competitive purposes like Evis. In fact, it's more oriented to do big numbers to the boss you want to showcase, your super strong Yoimiya. The well option and the best is Joy, Mona, Kazuha and Bennett, and the free to play option is Joy, Diona, Sucrose and Bennett.
I'm going in. Stand clear. Animal hyperstate. Shadows of fate. Fate is upon you.
Now, and to end this section, I'm going to rank all the teams for how good I see them and base it on my experience playing them. Remember that there are some teams that I cannot play or play less efficiently, so maybe I'm ranking them a bit down. On S tier I go with Overvape, Double Hydro, Fireworks and Vaporize. On A tier I go with Overvape with no heals, Raiden Overload, Double Geo, Single Target Overload, Monopyro and the second version of Monopyro. For B tier I go with Melt and Showcase. I will start explaining the teams from bottom tier to high tier. Showcase as the worst team because the only purpose of this team is to do big numbers, but I don't recommend it for Clear the Abyss, since it lacks about everything, and even the single target damage that it has is not that high. Melt as the second worst team. At the moment there is no character in the game that can keep the Cryo application as fast as Yoimiya normal attacks apply Pyro, and using Ganyu can potentially lose a good character for perma-freeze team on the other side of the Abyss. Not recommended to play on the Abyss, but you can try it yourself. Now let's start with the A tier teams. Here all the teams are pretty good and do similar things, and can be ordered in any order despite of all the weaknesses. The second version of Monopyro is the last one in the tier, because it's not really versatile, but deals so much area damage and can be good if at some point there is a Cryo Abyss, like the one that we have right now, or even to farm a Cryo domain. Not bad, but not the best. Good area damage, but single target damage. First version of Monopyro is a bit better because you have Kazuha and Zhongli. There's more damage single target while maintaining good area damage. Best Monopyro comp. The single target overload team, thanks to Physical Loss, high stack speed, paired with Yoimiya can destroy bosses in seconds. This team is really good to farm these single target bosses or small groups of enemies. Nonetheless, I put it here since against big groups of enemies it's not that good and sometimes lacks of damage. Maybe with Kazuha changes a bit, but sometimes it's still not enough. Double Geo is exclusive to play against single target or small groups of enemies. It has nice resistance thanks to the shield of Geo, good buffs and debuffs from Bennett and the Geo consonants, and really good damage on single target. If you have problems with single target bosses with 1 million HP or more, play this one. It has the same problem than the last team, but it's a bit better. For Raiden Overload, Raiden is really good when paired with Yoimiya. They cover one and the other with the time they don't have Yoimiya elemental skill and Raiden uses her elemental burst, while maintaining a good DPS. It's decent single target and multi-target thanks to Raiden to make a huge area damage for Yoimiya. And Yoimiya makes the team good on single target damage. I like this team a lot. Finally, I put here the hardest team to pull off. High risk and high reward. You proc reactions with high attack speed of Yoimiya when using 3 sub DPS. You have huge single target damage and a nice area damage thanks to Beidou, but you cannot heal unless you use Chinku passive, which is a bit too bad, not gonna lie. If you are good enough at dodging, you can play this team. Finally, now I'm going to talk about the S tier and my favorite teams for Yoimiya. My top 4 I put Vaporize, since it got a tons of single target damage and a decent area damage. Yoimiya plus Chinku is really OP, as well as with Yelan, and combined with a good shielder or buffer can destroy everything. Also important note about this team is it recharges energy really fast, since all of the characters generate a lot of particles. So you are always probably using cold elemental burst and recovering cold energy you used, which is a very important fact in order to clear the Abyss. For the third place I put Fireworks. Since Beidou and Fischl shoot as fast as Yoimiya normal attacks, they make the best sub DPS for Yoimiya. Because nobody can pair the attack speed, and Yoimiya is one of the few characters that even knockbacking enemies you can keep shooting at them without a problem. huge area damage thanks to Beidou, and huge single damage thanks to Fischl. For second place, I put double Hydro comp, since I think it's one of the best things for Yoimiya for the huge single target that it has. It has some downsides nonetheless, like having to use Chinkyu plus Yelan on the same team because both of them are really good on many other teams. That's really the only downside that you have. Imagine if you playing Hutao on one side and Yoimiya on the other side, you can't play this team. But this team, it has everything. Has good healing, good damage, good energy recharge to maintain elemental boost and smooth rotations. Emo, it can be one of the best teams for Yoimiya. Finally, first place goes to my favorite team, Overvape composition. When I first saw this team, I was like, what is this? This shouldn't work. But I couldn't be more wrong. Thanks to Chinkyu, you got a huge damage reduction, huge single target damage, and it combos with Beidou burst to make Overload, Vaporize, and Overcharge. Beidou helps the team with area damage, and finally Bennett buffing or Zhongli buffing is so good. This team is really easy and satisfying to play. Test it and tell me what's your opinion about it. To sum up, Yoimiya is a really good character with strengths and weaknesses, but she's the ultimate machine gun, fun and easy to play, and a really good flexible main DPS that can adapt to almost every support and sub DPS in the game. A lot of people say that she was bad, but here you are, a little Yoimiya apprentice that will prove them wrong. First of all, thanks to Kekim Memes for providing a good guide for every concept of Yoimiya. Thanks to Low Priority for his headstyle and guides that helped me build Yoimiya and have a better understanding of her and Genshin Impact Helpers team character builds for the valuable information of every character mentioned. Also, thanks to Goldfish for the guide to Mel Yoimiya. Remember that this guide was thanks to the others' information and my own experience on the character. I will give all the links to the respective guides, headstyles, etc. in the description if you want to check it out. Thank you all for listening to this guide until the end. You are awesome, guys. Thank you all for your support every day in my videos. Remember to subscribe, like the video and share it. It helps me a lot to keep doing what I love, and I hope you guys enjoy it. See you next time. Bye bye.